Historically, Tulsans have approved using the third penny sales tax for capital improvements since 1980 and using general obligation bonds for capital improvements since the 1970s. In 2008, voters approved the Fix Our Streets program, which allowed the city to issue a general obligation bond and use the third penny to focus on street work in Tulsa. This program did more work on Tulsa streets in 5 years than had been done in the previous quarter century combined. Tulsa had a lot of catching up to do. In 2013, voters continued that progress with Improve Our Tulsa, which not only addressed street work, but provided needed funding for facility and capital needs. Fast forward to 2019, and according to the Gallup Tulsa City Voice Index, Tulsans overwhelmingly rank city streets as their top priority. Residents now have the opportunity to vote on the renewal of Improve Our Tulsa, which allows the city to keep maintaining our city streets while taking care of our aging and deteriorating facilities, fleet, equipment, and our parks buildings. The renewal of Improve Our Tulsa could also allow the city to dedicate funding for our rainy day fund, which would serve as an insurance policy against layoffs and avoid major impacts in city services when an economic downturn eventually occurs again.
In 1966, the city of Tulsa tripled its geographic footprint overnight. And for about 40 years after that, the city spent its money growing in the new parts of town at the expense of maintaining our streets in our older parts of the city. Today, our streets in those older parts of the city are run down, and the streets that were built in the newer parts of town are too narrow. And so in the last decade, the citizens of Tulsa have committed an unprecedented amount of funding to fixing our streets in this city, and we call it Improve Our Tulsa. Now is the time to renew Improve Our Tulsa, not just to fix our streets, but to have parks that are safe for our kids, to have police cars and fire trucks that actually work for our first responders, and have snow plows that can clear the way so that you can get to work when we have a snow or ice event. All of these things are funded through Improve Our Tulsa, and the City Council and I have been working very hard to develop a draft proposal, but we need the citizens' help to make sure that we're setting the right priorities. So in order to keep our progress going, the City Council and I are holding these meetings in all parts of the city so that we can visit with our neighbors and make sure we're setting the right priorities for Tulsa. So thank you so much for coming out to these meetings and helping us improve our Tulsa.
In order to know what needs to go on the list of things that we put before the voters, we needed to go take a tour of our city facilities, the equipment that our police officers and fire department uses, the equipment that spreads salt during a snowstorm. And we also needed to just understand more of the needs relating to our streets. So we've done that, and now we're before the citizens asking for their input as we put this capital project together. We know that streets are at the very highest level of priority. We continue to make advances in repairing our roads and fixing our roads, but they get bad pretty quickly. So we've heard from you, and we drive on these roads as well. So streets and transportation, the repaving of streets, the widening of some streets, and definitely sidewalks and bike facilities as well is important to us collectively as a community. Now, with respect to facilities, we have facilities that store works of art, that where our employees sit and work, and where our equipment is stored as well. Literally, some of these facilities are falling apart, and we know we must do better in taking care of them. We know that roofs are leaking. We know that employees are working in bad conditions. So facilities is very high on our list as well. And finally, equipment. And I've mentioned this, but police cars, fire trucks, snow plows, just the day-to-day vehicles that our city employees use and work in every single day is vitally important to the safety and security of our citizens. If the police department can't rely on their cars, then they can't get to a scene of a crime or can't get to your doorstep as fast as you need them to. So we know we have to prioritize that for the safety and security of our city, and we're ready to do that. We're looking for your input. We need your input and support, and we're very grateful that you are here participating in this conversation, and we'll find other venues to provide your feedback to us so that we can take that into consideration as we're prioritizing these projects.
Over the last decade, Tulsa has made great strides in road and capital improvements, and it's important to keep the momentum going for the future of our city. For more information or to contact the city about Improve Our Tulsa, visit www.improveourtulsa.com.